seriously though. So tonight is the beginning of our leadership development emphasis, okay? And so you are here because you recognize a couple of things. One is you are seeking to develop as a leader in and of yourself. Let me just start by saying that everyone in this room is a leader. Because if nothing else, first of all, let me just say that On-Ramps is a place of leaders, okay? So this is not a place where you just sort of want to come and kind of hang out and sort of just be, give me more, give me more, give me more. I want to consume more. I want you just to give me another this, another that. Let me have another happy experience. Like that is not the mission of the church. You've just totally missed it, okay? That's not the mission of the church. So this is a place of leaders. And if you don't know what your leadership sort of context is, you are at the very least leading yourself. I don't know. Do you know that you have to every day? You need to lead your butt, lead yourself, lead yourself somewhere. Like get up, comb your hair, take a shower, make a decision about what you're going to eat. Are you going to continue to sort of feed yourself stuff that's going to kill you, or are you going to make decisions that are going to sort of cause you to live? Like you have to make these decisions every day. Like this is the challenge, right? We're like, am I going to choose this or am I going to choose that? This happened in my life. Lead myself, right? Lead, do something. Where are you going to lead yourself? It's easier to sort of picture leading others. Like, oh, well, don't lead them down that road. Well, I mean, the fact is you're following yourself. So figure out where you're leading yourself. That, at the very least, that's number one. Because, folks, if you don't lead yourself well, I don't want you leading nobody. Please, I beg you, sit on the bench forever until you learn how to lead yourself. You know what I mean? Like, seriously. If you don't lead yourself well, the old adage is that ultimately the people that you lead, right, you are basically creating replicas of yourself. So do you want to continue to disciple others who will not be able to lead themselves either? Is that what we want? No, of course not, right? So we have to engage. And so tonight and the next 3 months, is really going to be about every Tuesday. Is about facing sort of, one, who we are, who am I? And God, how's God uniquely made me? And how can I be more effective at leading myself, at leading others? How can I be a more effective leader as an employee, as a boss, as a member as a part of a neighborhood, as a member of a community, as a part of a church? How can I be more effective? That's what tonight and the next 3 months is really about, but it starts with you leading yourself. On-ramps for the next quarter on Saturdays, we have our worship gatherings. We are now transitioning. This Saturday, we're going to start our focus on being reconciled to ourselves. So that's being reconciled to me. I need to get to know the me that God created. Because for many of us, the fact is all of us are still living into who God created you to be. And so you have to meet you all over again. And so this is where we're going. That's why it's an appropriate start on Tuesday nights to be starting with leadership development, right? Because leadership, so much of leadership is really about what's going on inside. Hey, On-Ramps. So let's see, it's Tuesday now, and we are back together at Bible study. It's great to that y'all are here and focused on leadership development. There's no greater investment that you can make than to really understand yourself, understand how you function most effectively, what your environment needs to be in order for you to be effective, and how you need others to come alongside of you and to bring their gifts and talents and uniqueness to really make the body work. And so I'm very glad that you're here. I wish I could be there with you. I am in Orlando, actually. Casey Tate is with me as well. And we are doing some training out here to continue to further our own leadership. And but I want to thank Janelle for stepping in here. She wasn't supposed to do this, but she's willingly agreed to kind of jump in here and to lead tonight. So appreciate Janelle very much. And I look forward to being back with you next week. Actually, I'll see you on Saturday. So last week, we went through the DISC profile. We did a great activity, of course, before that, where we learned about the body and sort of what it takes to be an effective leader, and how we ultimately communicate and communicate clearly. And when we're really on one page, when we really are working seamlessly as the body, then we're able to get a lot done very quickly, and it is very impactful. And so your DISC profile should have been completed. You should have done that last week. Hopefully, if you're new tonight, you access this online already on our Facebook page, and you're ready to go. So again, you should be paying attention to your DISC profile, whether you're a D, an I, an S, or a C. You should recognize a couple of things. One, what your tendencies are. Two, what kind of environment you need. You need to be effective. Number three, who else you need in your life, because you frankly don't do everything well. I know you think you do, but you don't. There are a lot of blind spots that you have. There are things that you just really don't do well, and yet you keep trying to do them. Really, the goal of the DISC, one of the goals is to get other people, is to recognize what you do well and do those things well, but then invite others into your life. Don't be threatened by them. This is the body. We want others involved in our lives who do things that we don't do well to do them much better than us. That's how it works well. That's how the body works. And then lastly, what you need to be effective, sort of an action plan. So what changes you might need to make to your environment to be more effective, what changes you might need to make in terms of your own schedule, your own personal life, your quiet time, in order to really be prepared to lead effectively, okay? So we did that last week. You now know you are a D or an I or an S or a C. That's what your strength is. Let me just make one sort of comment, though. All four of these are present in all of us. So we did that little graph, that little chart, and you saw that, you know, your D is somewhere, and your I is somewhere, and your S is somewhere, and your C is somewhere. All four of these are present in you. But what your highest one is sort of speaks to where you tend to operate most of the time, most naturally. It's where you start your day. It's where, when a task is given to you, or you're in a conversation, it is where you just sort of naturally function out of. So you need to recognize where you are. We want to do something fun right now, okay? So you're going to break up in groups. I want all the D's to get together in one part of the room, all the I's in another part, S's in another part, C's in another part. Want the D's, the I's, the S's, and the C's in your groups to help flesh out these descriptions a little bit more for everybody else. So basically the question is, what do you really want others to know and to understand about you, so that when you are working together in the body, when you are at work, when you are in ministry, in a ministry environment together, that they really, if they would do these things and just let you do other things, the body would work amazingly well. What do you wish other people knew about you, so that they would stop trying to manage you or partner with you in ways that really you don't need? So help people in other categories. D's, help the I's and the S's and the C's understand who you are and what you need from them and what you need them to do to let you be effective. Okay? I's do the same thing. S's do the same thing for everybody else. C's do the same thing. Okay? So it's going to be a lot of fun, alright? So spend a few minutes talking in your groups, and then share out loud what it is that you need, that you just wish everybody understood about you. Okay? Alright, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so that was a lot of fun, right? I hope that you all understand each other a little bit better. And not just understand each other, but understand yourselves a lot better. It's really important that you have a clear picture about who you are and how you function within the body, how you function in relationship to other people. This is huge in terms of team building. Listen, most people are terrible at building teams, mostly because they don't even know what they do well. And because they don't know what they do well, they have no idea how to plug other people in and how to partner with other people. And so just as a bunch of lone rangers. And so it's really important that you sort of grab hold of this stuff, okay? I want to just say a word about the relationship between your first letter and your second letter. So last week I had a conversation after we ended with Brad, and he was mentioning that he's a
a high C. That's his number one. And then his number two actually is a D. And so he kind of, commented, he said, well, it seems like I sort of need myself. Yeah, that's one of the ways to look at it. But really what it is understanding that, again, most naturally, Brad, as an example, is a high C. So his first thought, when someone comes in the room like a D who has a vision, right? Or someone comes in the room and they are an S, and they are good listeners, and they want to share a story with Brad. Brad immediately starts thinking details, right? Because that's what he is. He is a high C. He's always thinking details. He's always thinking critically. So he's the guy, if you have an idea, you have a vision, you have, you have a story, so you sat with somebody, you're an S, and you listened really well, and that, you pastored them, you cared for them, but frankly, you're not quite sure what to tell them, or you say, hey, Brad, I just shared this, I recommended to this person who came to sit with me, who's going through this situation, that they go do X, Y, and Z. Brad's the guy to really help you evaluate whether or not that was really the best counsel you could have given, or whether this vision, it really has any merit. Because, yeah, everyone has an idea. We don't need any more ideas. I get it. Brad's always thinking, okay, well, do you have any idea person, D, do you have any idea what it's going to take for that vision to become real? That's exactly where he goes. So you have to, you go to Brad because you're a D, and you're saying, Brad, I have this idea, what's it going to take to get there? He lays it out, and all of a sudden it's a reality check. This is where the rubber meets the road. And are you committed enough to the vision to see it through? Do you have the skill? Do you have the resource? Do you have the capacity to actually make it happen, to cross your T's and dot your I's? Do you have other people in your life who can help you dot your I's and cross your T's? That's Brad's strength. But he's a D. So there's a relationship between your first letter, your strength, your more natural place of operation, and your second letter. So for Brad, the great thing about Brad is he's a detail guy, but he also is a vision guy. He's a guy that believes in vision. He's a guy that has vision. But again, Brad is mostly a C. And so what that means for a guy like Brad, when other people are working with him, is that he can receive vision. And that's a great thing, because a lot of times D's and C's are in tension with one another. They conflict, because all the C's think about are details, and all the D's think about are the vision. And they just paint this beautiful picture and get everybody on board. And now all of a sudden Brad's got a mess, because everyone is committed to the vision, but no one knows what's going to take to accomplish the vision. Brad's got to figure it out. But the great thing about Brad, in the unique way in which he's been made, is that he gets vision. He believes in vision. But Brad is most effective when he can latch onto a vision, when he can talk to the visionary about the details of the vision. And the visionary doesn't run away because here comes the detail guy. He's always, the downer. He's always got, he's always going to tell me what's going to take. And I don't want to talk about that. I just want to paint the picture. Okay, visionary, chill out. So, you need the C. So listen. So here's Brad. He's got a D guy or a D woman in his life. They come and paint a vision. He's the detail guy. But Brad likes vision. But here's the thing. If he can talk through the details of the vision, what it's going to take, can we actually do this? And if the visionary will engage those conversations and work with Brad to work out those details, Brad is the guy you want on your team, because he does have vision, but he mostly thinks about details. And so, if the details seem like they're getting covered, and the visionary is committed to the details with Brad, then Brad is going to be ultra loyal to this vision and ultra committed to see it all the way through, because the visionary and the detail person in Brad has worked together. And so this is the beauty of how Brad's made up. He is mostly a detail guy, but he does get vision. And so that's how it works together in his life. He's a C firstly, and then next he is a D. For me, I'm the opposite. I am a D. I'm a strong D. Secondarily, I'm a C. So I'm a vision guy, and what sometimes people say, Phil, you're a vision guy, but what's unique about you is you also understand the details, and you will see the details through to make sure the vision happens. So I'm not just the crazy visionary who doesn't think about details. That's my second letter, is I'm a C. So I'm always, when I'm painting a vision, I'm always thinking about what it's going to take, step by step. Lots of unattractive, not fun things you have to do to see the vision through. But again, that's my secondary letter, so I am mostly and firstly a vision type guy. I'm a D. So anyway, there's just some examples. I would be glad next week when I'm back in town, if you want to talk about the relationship between your first letter and your second letter in your life, I can sort of flesh that out with you a little bit in person, okay? So I just wanted to make that sort of note. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper, okay? So Janelle, what she's going to do is she's going to work with you on this. You're going to go back to your graph number 3, so back to your paper, okay? And you're going to figure out your segment numbers. So on the right side of graph 3, there are these segments. You've got, and they're lettered, or numbered. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So figure out where your D mark is, okay? Where's your D in terms of segments? Is it in the second segment area? Is it in the 5th segment area? Figure that out. It's really easy. All right, and you're just going to write the number, the segment number, right underneath your D on graph 3. Okay, so Janelle will walk you through this. You do the same thing for the I, the S, and the C. Now you've got sort of a code. All right, so the code in the example that's on your paper is 2167. You're going to work with Janelle, and she's going to tell you, she's going to hand out a paper that's going to talk to you about your classical pattern, okay? Because that code tells you what your classical pattern is. 2167 in the example is a perfectionist. And this is going to this is going to cause you to go a little bit deeper in understanding who you are, how you are made. It's going to take you a little bit deeper in some key areas, specifically, what your emotions are, what your goals are, how you judge others, which is not always a bad thing, right? How you influence others. Oh, you better pay attention to that, okay? What you tend to overuse. You do too much of this. You lean into this far too often. How you behave and what your tendencies are under pressure. That speaks to you in a relationship, doesn't it? And certainly at work and ministry. What you fear most. How you would increase your effectiveness, and then speak to some positive biblical role models and some scripture references. So you're going to pay attention to this. This is about going deeper tonight in understanding who you are. Who you are. How God has uniquely wired you and made you. And where your weaknesses are. You have weaknesses. And so you better pay a lot of attention to who you are, how you're wired, what your strengths are, what you tend to overuse, what you tend to ignore, activities and tasks you tend to shy away from. This is what we're doing tonight, okay? One final word. Isaac came up to me last week, and it was really insightful of him to pick up that who we are today, some of who we are is how God has uniquely wired us and shaped us. However, some of who we are also sometimes stems from our own brokenness. So for us, if we are achievers and if we are performers, that could be how God's wired you. However, it also could be your sort of way of gaining some sense of self-worth or self-efficacy in order that you might feel like you have value amidst your coworkers, in your church, in your relationship. You're always doing things, and you want people to acknowledge that. You need to do some good soul work with the Holy Spirit and say, God, why is it that I always want people to recognize what I've done? Why is it I always want to be the person that people come to talk to? Because I'm a good listener? Yes, maybe that's how God wired you. You really need to have an honest conversation with yourself. I suggest that you have this honest conversation with others in your life who will be honest with you. That may or may not be your spouse. That may or may not feel very safe for your spouse to be totally honest with you. You may want to go to somebody who you know just flat out is going to tell you what it is. you need to have some conversations with yourself, with maybe with some others in your life, and with the Holy Spirit, with God, and say, God, is it possible? Is it possible that some of the ways in which I operate and function in my marriage, as a parent, at work, in the community, at church, is born out of my own brokenness? You need to look at that. This is why when you open yourself up to God, that over time, 5 years, 10 years, and you come back and do the disc profile again, and God has done some healing work in your life, that your disc profile can actually change. Because you realize that there is some stuff that God needs to heal. You stop overusing things that you've tended to overuse, and God begins to shape you and form you and mold you into the one that He really intends for you to be. What a perfect way to lead off our Bible study in this quarter, when at On-Ramps we're talking about being reconciled to ourselves. There's no better way. Do some honest work with the Lord, with yourself, and with others. Janelle will take you the rest of the way tonight. God bless you all. I'm praying for you. Love you. Can't wait to see my family when I get back on Saturday. All right, we'll see you soon.